Hello, this is Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. The date is June 18, 2020, week number 16 of the coronavirus staying at home, social distancing, and all that fun stuff. And since we're staying at home anyway, might as well geek out and talk about toys and collectibles and uh, all the fun, cherished memories that can keep us sane psychologically. Now, um, for those of you who cannot see the screen, for those of my viewers who are visually impaired or blind, right now you're looking at a Yautja Predator. Uh, I don't know how many people can it be possible that there are people who don't know what a Yautja Predator is. I think it's pretty rare that people don't know about the Predators or the Aliens or the Aliens versus Predators franchise of movies. The Predator starting out with that Predator movie that had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, screaming on top of his lungs, "Get to the chopper! Get to the chopper!" And Schwarzenegger ended up duking it out against the Predator hunter. So, yeah, yeah, the Predators and the Aliens, or for those of us who are more geeky, the Yautja and the Xenomorphs, they have been made very, very popular in the past 30, 40 years by various movies and comic books, and there even has been a inclusion in DC Comics where there's a comic that Batman versus Predator, or Batman versus Alien, and there's actually a Superman versus Alien. So they have been popular enough to cross over into other properties. Now this particular Yautja Predator in front of the camera is called a Cracked Tusk Predator. He was made in 1994, although some sources said he was made in 1993. I acquired him back at the end of 1994 or the beginning of 1995, and I will talk a little bit about that later. But right now, let's look at this action figure. The Cracked Tusk Predator stands just under 6 inches tall. He's about 5 inches and 0.75 inches tall. And so for action figures back then, he's pretty good size, considering most action figures back then were about 4 inches or 5 inches tall. So he's in scale with your 4 inches or 5-inch action figures. Now, if you start to look at superhero action figures in the mid 90s, like 96, 97, when superhero toys started to actually get bigger, then this guy is going to be dwarfed by those guys. But comparing to your old Star Wars or G.I. Joes, he's going to be massive. Comparing to those old 1992 Batman action figures, he's just the right size. He's tall enough to loom over Batman and still look kind of imposing. As his namesake suggests, his tusk is cracked on the left side, and he sports a shoulder cannon on his left shoulder. And this cannon is interesting because it's actually articulated. You can swivel it to go in a down position when it's not in use, and when he's ready for battle, you can swivel it up and over his shoulder. So now he's ready for battle. That's a nice little surprise on this action figure because action figures from the early to mid 90s, they weren't very big on articulation. This is, as I said, the Cracked Tusk Predator, um, so named because of his cracked tusk. the predator society must be really cruel. I mean, what? Like if a warrior lost an arm in the battle, they're going to call him the one-armed predator, or if a predator got an injured leg, they're going to call it the gimpy predator. I mean, come on. Just because the guy cracked one of his teeth, they're going to call him like define him by that disability. Um, Cracked Tusk. He's a predator elder and a legendary hunter uh, that teaches a lot of other young predators the art of hunting and killing and how to fight aliens. So if you want to put him uh, in the movie terms, he's about the same as the wolf in the Alien vs Predator movie. Remember that really badass lone predator that went after the predator alien hybrid, the wolf. So the cracked tusk predator is about the same status as the wolf. Not, I didn't think I need to do this, but just in case there's some of you that really don't know about the Yautja predators, I'm going to give you a quick recap of what they are. The Yautja predators, they are predators. I keep letting my Asian lineage show through. The Yautja predators, they are a race of aliens. Um, They are like if you imagine the old Apache or the Comanche or the Aztec warriors crossed over and became alien. Uh, so the predators, their whole culture is about travel through space and finding worthwhile things to kill. They go hunt down other aliens and other threats just for the sports of it. And their whole culture is built on the ability to hunt, how many worthwhile prey you can track down and kill. And Their nobility is all about that. Now, when a predator first kills their prey, they become, uh, I guess you can say that's their badge of manhood. That's when they uh, become recognized as an adult predator. And then after, depending on how many uh, real big threats they vanquish, those who want to become elders, for example, have to have killed at least one xenomorph alien queen. And for those of you who remember in the alien movies, the queens were really, really scary. The size of a building and really powerful and just really scary stuff. So to be a predator elder, you have to kill at least one queen. And going by his biography, the Cracked Tusk Predator here, he's been on many, many missions and never failed. So he would be one of those elders that have killed maybe at least 6 to 8 alien queens, uh, judging by his age and his achievement. For the most part, he looked like any other predator. Back then, these predator toys were created by Kenner, and they weren't very big on making distinctions. So, Cractus Predator is very generic looking. He does have some tiger stripe marking on his chest, and he has this cool looking shoulder cannon. This actually comes off. You can actually take the. Let me see if I can do this without breaking him. You can take the shoulder armor off. So now he can be more ready for unarmed combat. And also with the shoulder armor on, it limits the articulation of his left shoulder. But if you take it off, then his arms, legs, they all move freely. He has uh, 5 points of articulation, as was the standard of the time. Most action figures back then in the mid 90s had 5 points of articulation: hip, shoulders, and neck. If you guys remember, like those old Barbie dolls, that's pretty much all they had too. So action figures were kind of the same. They didn't really move that well. Now let's see if I can get this armor, shoulder armor, back on him. Uh, you always have to be really careful with these old action figures. Don't want to force things because plastic becomes brittle over time, and I don't feel like trying to track down another one of these guys. There, there, whoa, trying to tip over. There we go. So as you can see, with the shoulder armor on, his left arm can't really go up and down that good without the shoulder armor threatening to pop off. So he does sacrifice a bit of mobility with a shoulder cannon on his shoulder, but does look pretty cool. Now I know those of you who know the Yautja Predator and what they're supposed to look like, you're going to say, "Wow, that shoulder cannon is like way too big." But that's how they made toys back then. You know, like He-Man and G.I. Joe and Batman, Superman, stuff like that. Like they made the weapons bigger for kids to have some fun with. Uh, Back then, the key focus wasn't so much realism, but more about fun. Something interesting about the Alien and Predator property is that it's still going really strong even today. As I mentioned, this Cracked Tusk Predator was created by Kenner in 1994 or 1993. That line did not last very long before it went belly up. Mostly, I think, because it was viewed as an adult property made into uh, toys for children, which just wouldn't work that good. Uh, you know, aliens and predators are really gory and horrifying. It's not really meant for kids to watch. So I imagine parents back then were very squeamish about buying these for their kids. That's why the line didn't last very long. In the early 2000s, Todd McFarlane, one of the best action figure maker ever, uh, we're not going to go into his other shortcomings, but it's hard to argue that Todd McFarlane made some of the most beautiful, detailed, display-friendly action figures ever, especially in the mid to late 90s. In the early 2000s, Todd McFarlane took over the Alien Predator license, and he made another Predator that I'm going to show here as a comparison with the Cracked Tusk. This is the Cracked Tusk made in 1994, and here beside him is a Predator Warrior made by Todd McFarlane in, I believe this was 2002 or 2003. I didn't read my notes before I started the video, so I can't say for sure, but I believe that's about right. You guys can see that this guy made by Todd McFarlane is way more detailed. Like this guy got bone trophies from his hunt all over his body, you know, and his armor very detailed. Actually has a blade come out of his arm, and I believe there's a little panel on his wrist that can open up that is actually functional. And the shoulder cannon is actually properly sized properly small this time. And this guy, the new Predator, stands a lot taller than the Cracked Tusk Predator. Cracked Tusk, as I said, is under 6 inches tall, and the new Predator is, well, if he can stand up straight, which he can't, unfortunately, he would be about 8 inches tall, I think. In a crouch like he is just at around 7.25 inch tall. But look at the heft, like the bulk between these two guys. The new guy is massive compared to the Cracked Tusk Predator. And I look at the details from behind. And the new guy is much more articulated. His wrist, forearm, shoulder, they move. Articulate the shoulder cannon. Head, rotate. Waist, rotate. Hip, move. And ankle, move as well. Some people talk about the good old days, but as far as action figure goes, I would say in most cases we are seeing so much better action figures now than ever before. And this is not even the best. In the past 10 years, the Predator and Alien property have been taken over by yet another company called NECA. That's NECA. And NECA has been producing some super amazing looking action figures, and they've done so much with the Aliens and Predators lines that uh, it's mind-boggling. Sadly, I do not own any NECA Predator for comparison, so here is a little shameless bit of information. If any of you ever want to buy me toys as gift, get me a alien, any alien, or a predator, any predator from NECA. That's a pretty safe bet because I don't have any aliens or predators by NECA as of this video. So some people are going to say, why are you showing the old Predator as the focus of the review if the new ones are so much better? Because Cracked Tusk Predator is one of the few action figures I have right now that tie directly to one of the best memory in my life. In the beginning of 1995, or maybe the end of 1994, I'm a little bit hazy on the detail. Around that time, right before my parents dragged me kicking and screaming back to get an education in Canada, uh, right before everything went to hell, uh, right before they ripped me out of my circle of friends and my Taiwanese education, right before the nightmare began. In another word, my mom, knowing what I was going to go through, decided to take me on a trip to Hong Kong for the first time in my life. Now, a lot of people, when they go to a place like Hong Kong, they want to go see the museum, they want to go see the different tourist attractions. But my mom and I, we weren't interested in those things. Obviously, my mom has been to Hong Kong many times, so she's seen everything there was to see. She was only interested in going shopping for souvenirs, for clothes, for perfumes, and stuff like that. And me, I was a blind teenager. Well, I had no interest in the museum or the aquarium or the zoo or stuff like that. I was interested to see if I could find any toys, any action figures that was available in Hong Kong and weren't available in Taiwan. So since my mom got tired of dragging me around and giving me wine about, can we go back to the hotel yet? Can we go have dinner yet? While she was trying on clothes and stuff like that. My mom figured out a way to keep me quiet. She sat me down at the cafeteria and she went and bought every action figure she could find in the toy store that she knew I didn't have. So she basically told me, sit here and start opening up these action figures and put them together. And I'll come back and check on you in half an hour. And a half an hour later, she came back, and I would be about halfway through looking through the what she bought me, and if she felt like she wanted to shop and for another 3 or 4 hours, my mom really can do that. She could do that. She still can. She can stay in the shopping center for 8 or 9 hours, no problem. So if she felt like she want to stay for another 3 or 4 hours, she'd go back to the toy store and would buy more things just so I could have things to occupy me with. So I wouldn't whine and complain. My favorite memory in my whole life, the one memory I cherish above the most, uh, and the one memory I used to keep me happy when I am stressed out or sad or whatever. The one memory that me and my mom can talk to each other about and still smile about was that trip to Hong Kong. Usually my mom say, "Do you remember how many toys you got on that 1 2 days trip?" And I would say, "Yeah, yeah, it was so ridiculous." And I remember this feeling so well, and this is primarily why I still collect action figures today. Is every time I open a new action figure, I'm magically transported back to that place in time, that moment in time when I was sitting on the floor of our hotel room, surrounded by still yet unopened boxes of action figures. I was like a little island in a sea of action figures, and there were so many of them, and I was so happy. I was so happy then. So, Cracked Tusk Predator here was one of the ones that I acquired on that trip. I didn't know anything about aliens growing up in Taiwan. I didn't know anything about predators. I didn't know much about Hollywood movies. I knew this was a very interesting alien looking monster action figure, and I knew somehow, somewhere in the deepest recess of my still childish heart, I knew back then that that moment probably would never happen again in my lifetime, and I needed, still need to treasure it. Thank you for checking out today's Toy Thursday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Fitness Friday. For now, keep collecting, keep having fun. Have a good night.